Okay. Good evening. Online, good evening, audible. Now, today is our day 2 of our the Polity masterclass. Yes or no? It is today is our day 2 of our Indian Constitution, or as simple as that, our Polity masterclass. Now, before discussing with respect to our day 2, now first is what is our revision of our last class? In the last class, we discussed about which all topics? First one we discussed about first thing, what is Indian polity? Yes or no? What do you mean by a polity? Second one, why we need to study this? Third one, we discussed about how to study this. Now, not a paper it is, what is polity? First, it's a branch of social science which majorly deals with respect to what? Deals with respect to the principles, deals with respect to the pillars, deals with respect to what? The process, deals with respect to a process. Second one, why we need to study this subject as such? Why? Because it is law of the land. It is law of the land, first one. Second one, it is the fundamental aspect of our, I can say fundamental aspect of our Indian Constitution, or it is also called as the supreme law. It is also called as the supreme law. Yes or no? Yes. Exactly. Online. Good evening. Okay, hello. It is the law of the land or supreme part. Second one, it is with respect to our marks. Even with respect to our marks also it is important. Now, with respect to marks, how many marks will be getting with respect to polity? It is as simple as that, 15 to 22 marks or 18 to 22 marks will be getting with respect to. We will be getting with respect to our polity section nothing but in and around 40 marks. 40 marks out of 50 hours only. Out of 50 hours. You will be getting this complete access. Now, the third one here is how to study this. How to study this? It is via 4 major important sections. The first section we call it as first one we call it as the basics. The second one we call it as the center-state relations. The third one we call it as the legislature and executive section. The last one we call it as what? Last one we call it as bodies and the miscellaneous the part. Bodies as well as the miscellaneous part. Okay, done. After this, we have discussed about which all things. We have discussed about what are the pillars of Indian Constitution. Now, what are the different pillars of Indian Constitution? It is, we have 3 important pillars. We call it as legislature, executive and judiciary, or I can say it is judiciary, executive and legislature. It is judiciary, legislature and executive. Now, always judiciary should be on the top. Judiciary should be on the top. Nothing but we have discussed about 2 major important things. One we call it as definition, or I can say the functions followed by the structure. The same thing applies to here also. Definition followed by structure, function followed by a structure. At central level, at state level, at local level, we have discussed with respect to all those things. All those things. Yes. Now, the day 2. The day 2 will be discussing about, I can say, under types of Indian Constitution. Yes or no? We have discussed about Constitution. What are the functions of Constitution? We have discussed. We have discussed about the different classification. What are the 3 classifications? It is first based on the literary one. It has been divided into 2 things. One we call it as written constitution as well as unwritten constitution. Unwritten constitution should be at where? At first go always, because it is considered to be the oldest one. It is considered the oldest one. Now, whenever we are going for any content, it has 2 things are fixed here. It is definition, example, definition, examples. First parameter. Okay, along. Second one. What is second major important type we have discussed? It is based on what? Based on it is based on the structure. Based on the structure, it has been classified into, again, two things. One, we call it as the federal, and the second one we call it as unitary. Now, what is federal and what is unitary? Federal is nothing but power has been shared between the different organs or different levels of the government. Different levels of government, we call it as federal nature. Examples from other examples, it includes USA, it includes India, France, all this comes under the federal nature. Unitary is nothing but what? It lies with a single authority. A single authority. Note it down. Third one, based on amendment or based on amending power, it is divided into, again, two things. One we call it as what? The rigid nature, and the next one we call it as the flexible nature. Now, what do you mean by rigid nature? What do you mean flexible nature? Maybe online. What is rigid? What is flexible? Exactly, perfect. Maybe what do you mean rigid nature? Now, rigid nature, again, two things illustrate. Definition, examples. Now, definition here is nothing but as simple as that. We can amend the constitution, but for amending the constitution, we require what? The special powers. That is, special majority is required here. Whereas illi, note that it is simple majority, that it is the present and voting is sufficient. Present and voting is sufficient. We'll be discussing n number of times, don't worry. Okay, alva? Rigid nature as well as a flexible nature. Examples, it includes UK and the. Now, yes, we have discussed in our last class. Okay, alva? Now, the last one, the last parameter, that is type sali. It is based on the type of government. Based on the type of government, we are being dividing it into which all things? It is divided into two things. One we call it as the presidential form of government. 101% there will be a question on this. We call it as presidential form of government, and the second one we call it as what? The prime ministerial form of government, or it is also called as what? It is parliamentary form of government, presidential form of government. It is also called as presidential as well as parliament. It is also called as the prime ministerial form of government. Now, sir, again two things. One we call it as definition, and the second one examples. Okay, alva nene class alli eno doubts illa nimge. I hope there is no doubts. Yes, online. Exactly. Yes, yes. Now, with respect to presidential as well as parliamentary form of government, there must be a question. There must be a question on this presidential as well as parliamentary. Now, sir, now what do you mean by presidential? What do you mean by, I can say, parliament? Ignore again, nodi, I'll be using n number of times this pillars of government. Now, take an example of judiciary, take an example of legislature, take an example of executive. Now with respect to USL or with respect to presidential form of government, who is the head of the authority? Head of the state really. Head of the state is president. As simple as that. Now, don't you think even in India also, the head of the state is president? But what difference is it is as simple as that. I can say it is the legislature in USA. Legislature in USA, we call it as what? We call it as the Senate. We call it as Senate. Whereas executives normally executives either it can be I can say the nominal executive as well as the real executive. If it is parliamentary form of government, there will be two things. Parliamentary form of government, there will be nominal executive followed by real executive. Whereas in presidential form of government, both the authority lies with single individual. Nothing but why? Because the president is not indirectly elected, rather he is elected directly from the people. That is why we call it as presidential form of government. Nothing but both head of the government as well as head of the state lies with a single individual. You comparison. Now take an example of parliamentary form of government like India. Like India, we have two bodies. Nothing but executive says nothing but one who is implementing. Now with respect to nominal executive, we call it as what? Nominal executive, we call it as President of India, Draupadi Murmu. Whereas, who has the real authority? It is Prime Minister. It is Narendra Modi. Now, with respect to, you know who is supreme? Prime Minister is supreme. Why he is supreme? Because he is elected from the people. He is elected from the people. Now, sir, do we have the same thing in presidential antandre? Obviously, we don't have this distinction. Nothing but head of the state. Be cautious. It is head of the state is president. Head of the government yarili. Head of government. Whereas in presidential form of government, both the powers, nothing but Joe Biden, he is an head of a state also, he is an head of the government also. Nothing but both the powers are being captured or headed by yaru? Headed by the single individual. Whereas in presidential form of government, in daily, there's the different powers. President is a nominal head, whereas Prime Minister is a real head. Adukoskara parliamentary form of government, we call it as what? We call it as, I can say, prime ministerial form of government also, because Prime Minister is controlling the complete cabinet, complete executives, complete ministers. Yes, I hope this is clear. Okay, Alva. Now, first one, I said only one point here. The first and the foremost one here is I said the definition. What is the definition here? As simple as that. Definition here is what? It is both head of the state as well as head of the government. Head of the government lies with what? Lies with a single individual. We call it as the presidential form of government. First one. Examples kodtira? Where there is a presidential form of government? It is presidential form of government. What are the examples? It includes USA. Now, sir, again, coming back to our pillars. Now, we are discussing about, I can say, the parliamentary form of government. That is India. Now, India, now, do we have elections for executives? Do we have elections for Prime Minister? Elections is there. It is nothing but what? Nothing but in the Bitakiga. Now, only I can say the president is elected. Now, what about real executives? Real executives includes yaro. Real executives includes Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister. Now, do we have an election for Narendra Modi? But illa andre how he is becoming a Prime Minister? It is nothing but now the Senate in India, it is also called as what? It is also called as Parliament. Idin artha madkoli. There are 100+ questions from this topic. Yella varsha question kellebeku. Ee question kellilla antandre I'll never teach polity. That is my target also. Kellebeku. See, na bold helti andre kellebekidu. It is because parliamentary form of government. At least there will be question in every year beat in examination, parliamentary form of government. Yes. Now, sir, do we have any? I can say elections for Prime Minister andre? Obviously, no. Now, how he has been elected or how he has been, I can say, given that particular post. Now we are going for election to this Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. How do you know? This parliament includes 3 important bodies. The President of India. Second one we call it as Rajya Sabha, and the third one we call it as Lok Sabha. Now, President always President has been elected indirectly. He has been elected indirectly, alva. From the majorly from the elected representatives. El kodtini kelskoli. Okay, adkinda munche. Now, Rajya Sabha is being elected from where? It is from states. Sir, idu gottilla nanage antandre kelskoli. This is state, central. Okay, alva. Now state has two important houses. Bicameralism idre will be having two houses. Now one we call it as what? One we call it as legislative council, legislative assembly. It is also called as what? It's also called as Vidhan Parishad. It's also called as Vidhan Sabha. Okay, at least illinda doubt illa. Now ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಕೂಡ we have two houses followed by President of India. One we call it as Rajya Sabha and a second one we call it as Lok Sabha. You should imagine at least. You should imagine stately. Okay alva, stately we have two houses. Central kuda we have two houses including president as well as governor. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ಈಗ. Now sir, ಈ legislative council ಹೆಂಗ್ ಸರ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? Now who will elect legislative councils ಗೆ? At us first one year is at us now one who has been elected to this house. Can I say they are called as members of legislative assembly, MLAs? Yes or no? One who is elected to this house, they are called as what? They are called as MLAs. How many MLAs are there in Karnataka? As simple as that. It is 224. It is, I think that we have 224 MLAs, which represents the different constituencies, or as simple as different taluka levels. ಹೌದು ಇಲ್ವೋ? Different MLAs will be representing different constituencies. That is 224 constituencies based on population. It has been, I can say, designated by delimitation commission. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆದವರು he'll commence it where? He'll commence it at where? It is, I can say, legislative assembly. Now sir, on the similar lines of MLA, if I am electing at the center, if I am electing at central level, idu taluka level andre, I am going for district level elections. Now the district level elections we call it as what? MP elections. ZP alla, it is broader matadade. It is complete constituencies, the larger constituencies than MLA. We call it as what? We call it as MP elections. Now MPs ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಸರ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ MP ಗೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನನಪ್ಪ? It is 28 members. ನೋಡಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಸೇಮ್ ಸೈಜ್ is same, but we are reducing the number. Nothing but what? Nothing but a single MP is representing larger MLAs or larger people. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? Yes or no? At least you can connect now. It is MLAs, it is smaller regions. Nothing but smaller regions. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ this we call it as delimitation commission. Now ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ there will be larger regions. Each constituencies has been elected by an MP. It is, we call it as what? Member of Parliament. Now one who has been elected directly by the people from their own constituencies, he is called as a parliament member. And nothing but what? Nothing but he is called as Lok Sabha MP. Lok Sabha MP. Yes, is good. Directly, both of them are directly elected. Now, who has the higher authority? Is it MLA or MP? Who has authority? Highest authority. It is MP has the highest authority. Nothing but on an average, each and every MP will be having, I can say, 7 MLAs under his authority. On an average, I'm saying. It is 7 jana MP ಗಳು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಒಬ್ಬೊಬ್ಬರ ಅಂಡರಲ್ಲಿ minimum, I'm saying. Yes, nothing but he'll be having more authority and he'll be I can say fighting for the cause of their own constituencies at central level. Adhe ivaru, they'll be fighting for their own constituencies at their, I can say, state level. Yes or no? Done. Now sir, ಈ ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದ ಇವೆರಡು ಹೆಂಗ್ ಸರ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ? How are they being elected? Nothing but for this Rajya Sabha, all the legislative assemblies, MLA ಗಳಿದಾರಲ್ವಾ, this MLAs go for elections. MLAs go for election. Examples ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಿಂದ? It is Nirmala Sitharaman, it can be Jagesh. Yes or no? It is, they'll contest, and contest ಆದಾಗ who will elect here? It is not the people actually. It is people are not electing here, rather people's representatives are electing. People's representatives are electing to this house. Nothing but adukoskara we call it as which house? It is House of the States. House of States, nothing but states are electing to this house. States are electing to this house. Yes, done. Okay, sir, Rajya Sabha. Now, members who have been elected to Rajya Sabha, we call it as what? It is Rajya Sabha MPs. Rajya Sabha MPs. At least just ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರಿ, we'll discuss in detail. ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, how many years, who is the headed by this, Rajya Sabha ಯಾರು ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಲೋಕ ಸಭಾ ಯಾರು, ಎಲ್ಲ ನೋಡೋಣ. Now, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ okay, sir. How does legislative council have been elected here? How does legislative council are elected or members elected? Exactly, Sudhamurthy, she is a nominated one. She is not elected. Yes or no? It is Virendra Hegde agirbodu or Sudhamurthy. They are being nominated based on their credentials, based on their meritorious service, based on their meritorious service in the field of literature, the science, social service and arts anta. But no, alla touch madad beda. Let it be general. Now next one, sir, legislative assembly doro, they'll also elect a few MLCs. That is a few members. Illi yaru include agtare sir andre, there are 4, I can say, personalities. One we call it as the members elected one section. Second one, teachers constituency, graduate constituency, followed by local government constituencies. Local governments will also send, I can say, people to this, I can say, legislative council. And this members we call it as what? We call it as members of legislative council. Okay, now done. At least go there. Now, sir, now how president is being elected? How president is being elected? Is it direct elections or indirect elections? Indirect elections, indirect antandre yaru involve agtare sir antandre, it is indirect. It includes that is involvement of MPs at central level, Lok Sabha MPs, involvement of MLAs at state level. Idir jotege, does it include Rajya Sabha? Madhu, yes or no? Paka? Does it include Puducherry? Does it include Puducherry? Does it include Delhi? Yes. That is, Puducherry and Delhi are being included. Now, Yuriburu Seri, they'll go for electing with respect to the President of India. President, it is an indirect elections. Whereas sir, ministers sir agtare. How are ministers, I can say, elected, or how are ministers formed? Nothing but out of this Lok Sabha. Now, how many Lok Sabha members are present? As of now, it is, I can say, it is 500. In general, 500 anta ankoda. Now, out of this 500, one who can form the government, out of this 500, think that 400 is BJP. Or think that this election 400 BJP barta. Second, in Mikira the 100 yaru, 100 it is Congress anta ankoda. It is 100 we call it as a Congress or INC anta. Now who will form the government here? It is BJP will form the government. Nothing but one who has the majority in Lok Sabha, they will be forming the government. Nothing but they will be forming government. After that government, out of this, I can say 400, out of this 400, one who are highly influential, they are being given a highest post among the government, that we call it as ministers. Hope you get what I am saying. Now, sorry, Nanu will think that some 20 or 30 members will be ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪಂಟ್ರು. Sorry, 20 members are ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪಂಟ್ರು. ದುಡ್ಡಿಲ್ಲ ಆದ್ರೆ ಬಟ್ ಆದ್ರೆ they have talent, like ನಿರ್ಮಲಾ ಸೀತಾರಾಮನ್ ತರ. Okay, there are 20 members. Now, this 20 members are being given what? Minister post. That is Ministry of Railways, Ministry of Coal, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Defence, Ministry of Home Affairs. Hope you getting what I am saying. It is our MP galo. At central level, they are MPs, but they were supported the government, and for that support, the government, or I can say, the Modi has given them, I can say, some credence in the form of ministry post. And that we call it as ministers. Now, these ministers gala ob leader irtaralva, and this leader will be sworn in as what? It is Prime Minister. That is, out of this ministers, the person who is leading this, I can say, who is leading this complete government, he is be sworn it as what? I can say, the Prime Minister. This is at I can say central level. But state level ನೋಡೋಣ. Now state level ನೋಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ we have 225 members. Karnataka level 224. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿದೆ recent ಆಗಿ. It has 224. Same hierarchy will follow. Now out of this 224, nothing but we need to get at least how much to get a majority? It is 112 is 50%. At least ಒಂದಾದರೂ extra ಬಂದೇ ಬರಬೇಕು ಇಲ್ಲಿ. It is I need to get 113 to get majority. Now this Congress government has got how much? It is 130 ಅನ್ಕೋಣ ಸಾಕು 130. It is 33 ಅಲ್ಲ ಬೇಡ ಬಟ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಯಾವ ಟೈಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾವ ಕಡೆ ಈ ಕಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. It is now don't you think who will form the government? Nothing but rest ಎಷ್ಟಿರುತ್ತೆ? Rest is BJP as well as the JDS alliance. Okay, it is JDS alliance has got remaining how much? Think that remaining 80. Now who will form the government here? It is who will form the government? It is INC will form the government. Nothing but government ಅಂದ್ರೇನು executives ಅಂತ. They are MLAs, but they are supporting a particular leader. Particular leader ಯಾರಪ್ಪ ಇಲ್ಲಿ particular leader ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ it is nothing but ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯ. Nothing but ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯ. ನಾವು ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಓಡೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ನಾನು ಓದ್ ತಗೋತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ತಗೋತಾರೆ. Nothing but what? Nothing but he's the leader. Followed by I can say all other personalities are being given a ministry post. Ministry post ನೋಡೋಣ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು? ಎಲ್ಲ 130 ಜನಕ್ಕೂ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದಾ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನೋ. ಎಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿತ್ತು, ನಾನು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ ಬಂದು ಫೋತ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮೇ 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 ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೋಡಿದಿರಲ್ವಾ? It is okay. Nothing but I can say council of ministers will be established headed by the chief minister. One who is heading this council of ministers, and we call it as what? We call it as chief minister. Hope you're getting how this legislature has been established, how this executive has been established now. Okay alva? Yes. Now as simple as that, do we have an election for executives? Do we have elections? No. One who has the majority in the lower house at central level and as well as at state level, they are being formed what? They are being formed the government. Nothing but ministers, council of ministers headed by prime minister as well as the chief minister as well as a chief minister. Now sir, do we have any post called as deputy CM post idya antandre? There is no post of deputy with respect to constitutionally. It is just a nominal title ashte. It is not a constitutionally recognized title. It is not a constitutionally recognized a title, whereas DK Shivkumar is getting income ellinda antandre being a minister ashte. Being a minister. Yes sir, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ಬರಬೇಕು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ they will be holding 2-3 post, 2-3 post. Nothing but he'll become more popular. Yes, clear alva? Now sir, this is with respect to legislature and executive. Now USL ನೋಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ we have a separate election for legislature, that is Senate ಗೆ separate elections, whereas for president ಗೆ we had separate elections. But in Indian parliamentary form of government, do we have a separate election for legislation executive? No. Idya? USA, UK, India. Now this USA, we call it as what form of government? We call it as presidential form of government. This too we call it as what? This too we call it as parliamentary form of government. No, UK nike sir, India nike anta, because India has derived majority of the provisions from United Kingdom, because it has been ruled by UK. It has been ruled by United Kingdom anta. Now okay, exactly. Now with USA ನೋಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ we have 3 pillars. One we call it as, now who is supreme in USA? Judiciary is supreme. It is judicial supremacy. It is judiciary is supreme. Followed by legislature and executive. Now legislature I said it is Senate. Now Senate gang sir select Senate ge. How are they being elected ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ they are being elected for that post called as Senate post. Yes, Senate post, or it is also called as Congress in the Matadi Congress as well as Republicans. Kelly it is for the Senate, it is elected it is elected directly. It is elected directly. Directly andre ನೀವು elect ಮಾಡಿ ಬರ್ತೀರಾ? Who will elect then? It's the people of USA will elect. People of USA will elect. Now executive antandre as simple as that. President of USA, it is Joe Biden. President of USA Joe Biden. Now is he indirectly elected or directly elected? It is directly elected from the citizens of USA. From the citizens of USA, nothing but again directly elected. Directly elected, nothing but executives and legislatures are completely different. Completely different. Whereas nam India nodana, it is always a top judiciary, legislature and executive. Now how are legislatures elected? Is it directly or indirect? It is direct elections. At least for Lok Sabha, it is directly elected. Directly elected. Now how are executive elected? Is it direct elections? No, nothing but what? Nothing but the peoples from legislatures are being derived here. Nothing but one who can form the majority in the Lok Sabha, one who has the majority numbers, one who has highest numbers, one who has the capacity to form the government, they will go to President of India saying that, see macha, I have the numbers and I'll be forming majority anta, and they won't say macha anta. Okay, literally ange irutte, because it is legislatures, nothing but MPs, a group of MPs, one who have the majority will go to President of, I can say, India, that is Draupadi Murmu, and they'll say that, see madam, we have numbers and will be, I can say, forming the government. Okay, and Draupadi Murmu will say that, okay macha, whatever you say, it is good. Okay, let's go for a swearing ceremony. Yes, swearing in ceremony andre yaru? It is nothing but one who has the majority, nothing but the, I can say, the Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister. The first yaru ottagotaralva, he is considered as the leader. First Amit Shah tagobbitre, he is Prime Minister anta. Sir, ಬನ್ನಿ ಲೇಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಪ್ರೈಮ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಲೇಟ್ ಆಗೋ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನಾನು ತಗೋತಿರ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಒನ್ ಹೂ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೇಕನ್ ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಓತ್ ಇಸ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ಡ್ ಟು ಬಿ ದ ಪ್ರೈಮ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್. ಅಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಒನ್ ಹೂ ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ದ ಓತ್. ಅದೇ ಸಿಎಂ ನ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಡಿ ಕೆ ಶಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾನು ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ವಾಟ್, ಚೀಫ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಫಾರ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ದ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್. ಹೌದಾ ಇಲ್ವೋ? ಇಂಥ ಕಿತಾಪತಿಗಳು ಆಗಿದ್ದಾವೆ. Yes, then it is executive, nothing but government. It is government, as simple as that. There is a different elections for legislature, executive and presidential form of government. Whereas il nodadadre, is it different? No, nothing but the same people from legislature is becoming, I can say, a government, a part of government, nothing but MPs. That is, MPs are becoming executives. Nothing but, sir, example, one example kodi antandre, take an example of Prahalnad Joshi. This Prahalnad Joshi represents which constituency? It is Dharwad. This Dharwad he has been elected as a MP. Now this Dharwad elect agidiyallappa, this is RSS belt bere, neenu ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕೊಳ್ಳುಕಿದೆಯಾ ಪಟ ಪಟ ಅಂತ ಹೊಡಿಬಹುದು ಅಂತ. He has been given what? He has been given an executive post. Yes or no? He has been given an executive post, nothing but what? He has been given the post of minister. Yes. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ take an example of Tejasvi Surya. Now Tejasvi Surya, have we given executive? Is he a part of executive andre? Illa. He is just an MP. But he is supporting whom? He is supporting government because their government has formed a government. Hope you get what I am saying. He is a MP from BJP alva. He is from BJP and he is, I can say, he is supporting the government. That does not mean that he is a part of government. He is a part of legislature. Tejasvi Surya is a member of parliamentarian and he is a part of legislature. But he is supporting the government because he is a Bhakt of Modi anta. Nothing but he is supporting from outside. The same thing with respect to, I can say, Mandya. It is Sumalata. She is an independent MP. She is independent MP and she is, I can say, part of legislature by supporting government. Yes or no? Nothing but highly important topics alla artha agilla enu artha agalla. It is in India or in parliamentary form of government, there is no separate elections for legislatures and executive. There is no separate elections. Rather, executives are derived from where? Executives are being drawn from. Executives are being drawn from legislature. One who can prove the majority in the house, they are being given a post called as, I can say, executive post. Nothing but Council of Ministers followed by Prime Minister. Followed by Prime Minister. Now, do we have any strict separation between the legislature and the executive as we follow in, I can say, a presidential form of government? No. There is no strict separation because ಇವರಿಬ್ರು ಒಬ್ಬರೇ ಅಲ್ವಾ? Yes or no? Yes. Nothing but there is no strict separation. Rather, we have a concept called as checks and balance mechanism. Highly important one. Kelskondiri, I'll teach you all those things. Okay, this is with respect to India and this is with respect to, I can say, USA. Now, sir, idella okay, sir. Now, what's the difference between the president or parliamentary form of government in UK and parliamentary form of government in India? What is the difference? Ange nodkothiri. Now, what is the difference between Indian parliamentary form of government and UK form of government? First, where? In UK. Though India has borrowed, I can say, the parliamentary form of government from UK during colonial governments. Though we have, I can say, borrowed from UK, we have introduced a concept called as judicial as a supreme. Judiciary has been given the, I can say, higher authority. Nothing but independent as well as integrated judiciary. Whereas in UK, who are supreme here? Nothing but legislature is supreme. Nothing but I said, it is legislature can make whatever they want, except converting the genders. It is male to female and vice versa. Iduna bittu, they can do whatever they want. That is impeachment of judges, removal of government, following of bringing of different laws. Whatever the laws which has been brought by a parliament, it is final and binding. Whereas illi, whatever the judgment which has been provided by judgment, it is final and binding. Nothing but, never get confused. With respect to presidential form of government, it is USA is the presidential form of government, whereas UK and India as a parliamentary form of government. Whereas if they ask you a question on which country, yava ಒಂದು countryಲಿ judicial as a supremacy ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, it is ಯಾವ್ದು? It is USA and India. Now, whereas in UK, who is supreme? It is legislature is supreme. Nothing but law making is supreme. Okay ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಈಗ ನಿಮಗೆ ಒಂದು 3 ಪಿಕ್ಚರ್ ಬರೀತೀನಿ. You should know. ಪಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಈಗ. This is like a quiz ತರ. ನೋಡೋಣ ನೀವೇನೇನು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ. Now, first one, it is judiciary, legislature, executive. What or this type of pillars, it is found in which form of government? Think. Hope you get what I'm saying. It is, you can't say it is presidential or parliamentary anta. Now, if I add one more point, separation of pillars. It is presidential form of government. Nothing but there is a strict separation between there is the strict separation between ಯಾವ branches. It is the three pillars of government. Hope you get what I'm saying. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? Yes, no pillar can enter into other pillars. As we see in India, it is executive is completely different, judiciary or legislature is completely different, senate is completely different, whereas judiciary is completely different. And this type of government we call it as what? This type of government we call it as parliamentary form of government or presidential form of government. It is presidential form of government. You should never get confused with respect to this. Second hange artha ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Second one. Now I am writing same thing. Judiciary, legislature, executive. Now what type of government is this? See, ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು ಸರ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದಿರಲ್ಲ. It is both. But I am adding one more point now. One more point is nothing but, one more point here is executives are derived from parliament, nothing but legislature. Now what type of government is this? It is prime ministerial form of government or parliamentary form of government. Nothing but India ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. Nothing but India. You can't say UK ಇಲ್ಲಿ. Because ಮೇಲೆ I have written judiciary. Hope you are getting. Confusion ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. It is parliamentary form of government. But the parliamentary form of government, it is not found in UK, whereas it is found in LA, whereas it is found in India. Next is think legislature, executive and judiciary. Now what type of government is this? ನನಗೆ ಲಾಜಿಕಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು. Yes, online try. Is it presidential or parliamentary now? It can be both. Boss. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿರೋ ಪಿಲ್ಲರ್ಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. I have not added any feature here. But ನಾನೀಗ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಒಂದು ಫೀಚರ್ ಆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ, feature is nothing but what? Feature is executives are derived from legislature ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ now it becomes parliamentary. What type of parliamentary? Legislature supremacy. Hope you get what I'm saying. Yes, it is. Executive are derived from legislature antandre as simple as that, we call it as what? We call it as parliamentary form of government. Now can I say it is India anta? No, it is only and only in UK there is what type of parliament? It is, I can say, the legislature as a supreme authority. Legislature as supreme authority. Okay alva? Yes or no? Doubt? You only. Clear? Paka, shouldn't you revise? Yes or no? Okay. Doubt ilva? ನಾನು ಮೂವ್ ಆಗ್ತೀನಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ. It's okay, don't think about anyone. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತೋ ಇಲ್ವೋ? Where? Second one. Okay. You should say alva. Now, nothing that. Now, what are the three pillars of government? Three pillars of the state. Now, which all things? It is legislature, executive, and judiciary. Legislature, executive, and judiciary. Now, as soon as I write this three, it can be any government. It can be parliamentary form of government or it can be presidential form of government. But now, if I add a feature called as, ministers. Ministers are derived from where? Are derived from legislature. Nothing but Prahalnad Joshi has been derived from where? Has been derived from legislature. Nirmala Sitharaman has been derived from, I can say, legislature. Take an example of Jaishankar has been taken up from, I can say, parliament. Take an example of Rajnath Singh has been taken up from legislature, nothing but parliament. Home Minister Amit Shah has been taken up from legislature and he has given the extra authority called as ministry post. Nothing but as simple as that, government has been derived from legislatures or derived from parliament anta. Yes, don't worry, I'll discuss a number of times. Innu ivattan class at least there will be at least 5 times on this topic. Okay alva. Next one it is as soon as I say legislature has been derived from executive and topally if I add legislature, or parliament. Nothing but what type of parliament here? It is legislative supremacy, and this legislative supremacy, it is followed only and only in UK. Only and only in UK. Nothing but who is supreme in UK? And it is parliament or supreme. Nothing but parliament can do whatever they want. Parliament can do whatever they want. They can replace Rishi Sunak also. Is the Prime Minister of UK? Yes. They can also replace the government also. Nothing but who is supreme? Legislature, the law-making body is supreme. Law-making body is a supreme. Okay, Alma. Yes, India, it is parliamentary with the judicial supremacy and the Kagala. It is the judiciary has been given extra powers. And there is no supreme. There is no body supreme in India. Yes, never get confused with that. Lakshmi Kandodra ade padu. Okay, UK it is parliament, exactly, yes, with legislature as the supreme, exactly perfect. Yes. Okay, alva. Idella admele. Now the next major important one. Okay, alva, then doubt irele. It is parliamentary as well as the presidential form of government. In the complete mapana. Amale will go for next topic. It is the presidential form of government. It is in presidential form of government, head of the state and head of the government belongs to a single individual or holded by single individual. We call it as Joe Biden. We call it as Joe Biden. Example, we have written USA. Whereas parliamentary form of government, parliamentary form of government, what is the uniqueness about parliamentary form of government? Nothing but executives are derived from where? Executives are derived from. Il executives antandre bracket you can write it as government. You can write it as government. The government has been derived from where? Government has been derived from, you can write it as illy. It is parliament. Or else you can talk about MPs. Now MPs are becoming what? Ministers. Now yarge jasti authority there. Ministers are the authority. Nothing but ministers can go to any constituencies in India. Ministry adre ella hogbodu. Yav constituency go adre minister anta karitare. Whereas MP adre nin constituency go adre matra you will be called as MP, member of parliament from this constituency. Whereas ministers will be having authority all over the country. He can go to any house, he can go to any committee, he can go to any state. He is called as minister. He need to be given utmost security by the state also. He need to be given security. Pranab Joshi bandaga, we need to give that security to him. Being a minister of, I can say, the central government. Yes, nothing but higher authority yaar kottidare andre it is ministers. Adukoskara ministry kodi anta kittaartirtare. Yes, nothing but they'll be having more powers. They'll be having more powers. Examples nodadadre. Examples. What's examples? Examples we call it as examples. Can I write UK? Can I write India? Bari bodo ilva UK. UK, India, France, all this comes under parliamentary form of government. Now, sir, what is the uniqueness about presidential form of government? Parliamentary form of government again. In presidential form of government, we have a concept of what? We have a concept of what? Uniqueness? Separation of powers between yaru. Separation of powers between legislature, executive and judiciary. That is nothing but three pillars. That is, all the three pillars are separate. No one can intrude it into other pillars. Whereas in India, we have a concept called as checks and balance mechanism. Barkoli nodana enanta? Checks and the balance mechanism. That is CBM anta. Checks and balance mechanism. Highly important one. This is highly important one. There will be hundreds of questions on this presidential as well as parliamentary form of government. Presidential as well as the parliamentary form of government. Now give a heading called as separation of powers. Separation of powers. And for the contrary for the separation of powers yadu? It is, we call it as a CBM. What is CBM? It is checks and balance mechanism. It is checks and the balance mechanism. Checks and the balance mechanism. Now sir, what do you mean by separation of powers? Now concept of separation of powers yarappa kodidare? Bibene? Concept of separation of powers has been given by yaru? Begne mains question kuda idu. Separation of powers. The concept of separation of powers has been given by Montesquieu. Kelidira? Montesquieu, he is a French, a political philosopher. Highly important one. French, a political philosopher. Kelidira? Yes, it is a French political philosopher. Now, which is his book? Book kya? It is The Spirit of Laws. Highly important one. Montesquieu is a French philosopher. In his book, The Spirit of Laws. The Spirit of Laws, which has been written in the year 1948. Example kelidare boss. It is the Montesquieu is a French political philosopher. In his book called as The Spirit of the Laws, which has been written in 1948, he has given a concept called as what? He has given a concept called as separation of powers. That is the strict separation of powers. Now, what do you mean by strict separation of powers? Strict and anyway. It is the different pillars, that is judiciary, legislature and executive are completely separate. Nothing but the president can't involve in the matters of Senate. The Senate can't involve in the matters of judiciary. The judiciary can never involve in the matters of executive also. Yes, nothing but all the three pillars are completely different from the other pillars. Completely different from other pillars, we call it as a concept of separation of powers. Concept of separation of powers. Okay, along. Concept of separation of powers. Now, coming back to our India's, that is highly important one. Idandu sakkat highly important one. Highly important. Now, the separation of powers concept, the strict separation of powers concept has been seen in which country? It is majorly in USA, majorly in United States of America. United States of America. If you are following me, I am teaching only 2 points. One is definition, second one is examples ashte. Enadru innu chanagittu antandre I am taking other more points, that is called uniqueness ashte. Now the same thing applies to our CBM also. It has checks and balance mechanism. Now, if you take an example of India, legislature, judiciary, legislature and executive. Now, if you see, I can say USA, judiciary is supreme. Now in India, who is supreme? No one is supreme. No one is supreme. Whereas in India, Indian constitution is supreme. Highly important one. Example another concept kotre who is supreme antandre it is, I can say Indian constitution is supreme. Whereas these three pillars, no one are supreme. Neither judiciary is supreme, executive government is supreme, nor parliament is supreme. Nothing but who is supreme? Indian constitution. Within Indian constitution anta kelidre who is supreme? It is people are supreme. People are supreme. In reality nodadadre, neither Chief Justice of India is supreme, neither Prime Minister is supreme, nor Member of Parliament is supreme. Nothing but we are supreme. Nothing but we are supreme. Nothing but people of India, people of Indian citizens are supreme. Hope you getting what I am saying. Whereas USL nodadadre, whereas judiciary is supreme. Judiciary is supreme, whereas in India, no one is supreme. No pillar is supreme. Nothing but the people are supreme. Now, if no one are supreme, don't you think all these three persons are being given to some extent the same powers? Don't you think if no one are supreme antandre, nothing but everyone are equal? Sir, matte ivrige matra yak mel bardidira antandre, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ extra powers ashte. We have given extra powers. That does not mean that they can do whatever they want. Hope you getting what I'm saying? Recent agi, this judiciary has brought in a election commission, selection committee, and this has been nullified by what? This has been nullified by legislature via an act. Nothing but, nodappa, ninigadu jurisdictional law. Lawmaking, it is our authority. Lawmaking, it is our authority. On that basis, we are nullifying your judgment. Nothing but, we are putting a check on judiciary. Ade riti, recent I think that the executive has brought in some constitutional amendment act. Let us think that 106 constitutional amendment act normally yaar tarado. It is government. This government will introduce where? In the legislature. The government will introduce any bills in the parliament. Now, don't you think judiciary will go for constitutionality? Ad constitutional prakara idre, the judiciary will say that, okay, macha, whatever you have done, it is in your jurisdiction, you can do it. Or else, it will make what? Null and void. Null and void is nothing but whatever the action which has been brought by government, they will remove that act. Yes or no? And in the same manner, this government is being checked by Yaro. This government is being checked by executive via question hour. Kelidira, questions keltar the ministers ge, helo anta. Question hour via impeachment motion. Via I can say no confidence motion. Nothing but in reality, nobody is supreme. Nothing but everyone is introducing a checks and balance. We are introducing checks on judiciary introducing check on executive, judiciary exercising checks on legislature also, legislature exercising executive mele checks also, ella things. Nothing but everyone is exercising, every two organs exercising on one in the, it is two, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ nothing but ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಈಗ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಸರ್ ಚೆಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಲೆಜಿಸ್ಲೇಚರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟಿವ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಜುಡಿಷಿಯರಿ ನಾವು ಜುಡಿಷಿಯರಿನ ಅಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಯಾರಪ್ಪ it is appointed by president is a part of executive now he'll be appointing now remove ಮಾಡೋದು ಯಾರು removal of judiciary has been done by ಯಾರು it is legislature and okay now second thing now who has the authority to bring in the laws executive will bring in a law now who has the authority to pass nothing but in reality nodadadre artha agtideya we are not giving the complete authority to the single chamber rather we have divided across the chambers now as simple as that sir nan gottilla sir idella beda nange now budget nodkona as simple as that budget now who will bring budget it is government it is executive now executives budget tartara budget andre enakke it is to derive money from the CFI consolidated fund of India nothing but or namdu undi tara government undi idu now can government take money from the CFI antandre no nothing but this government need to bring in a budget and that budget need to be introduced where in legislature and if this legislature I can say passes a bill then only I can touch the CFI sir illa sir illegal agi I have passed the bill antandre who will step in judiciary will step in nothing but who has authority here who is supreme here no one yes or no yes no one is supreme nothing but I can say everyone is exercising authority on the other individuals in legislature antira he is exercising on the two persons also in case judiciary enadru corrupt adre who will come into play now macha I am stepping in and I am going for removal of judiciary impeachment if president become arrogant who will step in if prime minister becomes arrogant if prime minister is more corrupt who will go for removal legislature via no confidence motion as simple as that it is as simple as that we have a concept called as checks and balance mechanism. ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. We call it as checks and balance mechanism. Okay now? Yes. Done. Coming back to this checks and balance mechanism, we have a concept called as checks and balance mechanism. No pillar is supreme in India. No pillar is supreme in India. Only Indian constitution, within Indian constitution, people is supreme. People is supreme. People is a supreme authority. People is a supreme authority. Examples ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Examples ಯಾವ್ದು? It is India. Examples UK. Examples includes India. Examples includes UK. Okay now. Online, I hope you are able to connect the points exactly. Exactly. It is adukoskara alva. Our Indian constitution is so beautifully designed. Though it is called as patchwork, it is beautifully designed. Though it is called as patchwork, it is so beautifully designed, saying that no one can become arrogant here, because everyone is being exercised or controlled by the different pillars. Yes, recent news alli ittu. Can Prime Minister become President anta? Can he become? No. Another arrogant adre, who will exercise more power? Judiciary as well as legislature. Yes. Now if the legislature, if they have numbers, they are having numbers, now amend ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ constitution, who will step in? Yes. Then whatever you are doing, that should be in the, I can say that should be within the, I can say, framework of constitution. That is a beautiful designing of our Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. That is the drafting chairman. Drafting chairman. Okay, alva? Yes. This is our the first and foremost one. The second or the next major important one, little bit about a concept of a state. ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಇದು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅಂತ. ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಹಾ, ಯಾರು ಗೊತ್ತಪ್ಪ, ಯಾರು ಪಂಟ್ರು ಹೇಳೀಗ. ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್, ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್? Third one, every year they'll ask a question on state, followed by state government. See, ಇದನ್ನೇ confusion ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಅವರು. Now, what is state? State is as simple as that. State is what? It is organs of, I can say, organs of the people or organs of the authority. Now, sir, first and foremost one, the concept of state has been provided by Yarappa antandre. It is yaru. It is the concept has been given by Locke. Kelidra? What Locke? It is John Locke. The concept has been provided by, the concept of a state, the concept of a state has been provided by John Locke. Now John Locke the concept ಏನಪ್ಪ ಹೇಳಿ ಜಯಂತ್, ಹೇಳಿ ಪಟ್ಪಟ್ಟಂತೀಗ. What the concept which has been provided by John Locke? It is, we call it as social contract anta. Social contract theory. Sir, ಏನ್ ಸರ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, social contract? Now what is the social contract here? It is social contract. Now we have a two important personalities here. That is the state. Sir, state over irtare. Second one we call it as people. Now state includes all the three pillars. All the three pillars, which includes judiciary, executive, legislature, followed by other government agencies also. Working for these three pillars. Working for these three pillars, we have a concept called as state. State is a broader term. State is a broader term. Whereas government antandre yaru? Government includes only executive. As soon as I say state government antandre, it's a part of executive. Nothing but which is functioning at state level. Hope you're getting what I'm saying. Yes. Central government, state government, local government. State government ashte. A government which is functioning under or executive at state level we call it as what? State government anta. And government antandre, which includes only this executive. Yes. Now, sir, what's the contract, sir? What's the contract? Now, the state and the people came for a contract. Came for a contract saying that, Nodappa, we will be providing some, I can say, authority which has been provided or which has been provided by the constitution to us. We are providing some authority to you. We have rights. We have fundamental rights. Now, out of that right, we are providing some duties or authority to the state. ಏನಕ್ಕಪ್ಪ ನಾವು authority ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ because even state should function at a larger perspective, developmental perspective. Now sir, now people or power ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಮಗೆ ಏನು ಸರ್ ವಾಪಸ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನೋ ವಾಪಸ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ? We will be getting welfare. Nothing but we the people, we are providing, I can say, we are providing authority. ಇವಾಗ ನೋಡಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ನಿಮಗೆ. We are providing authority to whom? Authority to the different state governments via elections. We are going and we are voting and we are electing some individuals. Individual mulaka, we are getting all the authority to MLA. In our complete constituency, we are electing one, I can say, member of legislature or member of legislative assembly, MLA or MP, and he is being given utmost authority by the people. Now, ನನಗೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಏನು ಕೊಡ್ತೀಯಪ್ಪ MLA ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ he'll become more corrupt. ವಾಪಸ್ ಏನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಕರಪ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ರಿಯಾಲಿಟಿ ಏನು ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಅವರು? ಇನ್ ರಿಯಾಲಿಟಿ you need to provide what? We need to provide development. And this contract which has been mentioned or which has been given for the first time by, I can say, a philosopher called as John Locke. Exam on question ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. It is okay alva? Contract between the people and the state. The people is providing some authority and the state is also been providing, I can say, welfare to the people in the form of a shelter, in the form of food, in the form of welfare aspect. Yes, and this we call it as social contract. Now sir, is state anta nan karibeku antandre what are the different features I need to have? What are the different features I need to have with respect to state? Is state anta karibeku antandre ಹೇಳ ಹರೀಶ್, ಮಧು ಪಟ್ಪಟ್ ನಿಲ್ಲಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ಇದೊಂದು 100 ಸತಿ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅಂತ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಮಧು ಒಂದು ತಲೆನೇ ಐತಲ್ಲ, ನನ್ಗೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಬೇಕು? ಹೌದಾ ಇಲ್ವೋ? ಅದು ಇಬ್ರು ಪಕ್ಕನೇ ಕೂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇವತ್ತು. ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಫೀಚರ್ಸ್? ದ ಫೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡ್ಸ್ ದ 4 ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. 1, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ we should have a population ಇರಬೇಕಾ? ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾರನ್ನ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರು? ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ they need to have a population. Second one, they need to have a dedicated territory. They need to have a dedicated territory. Example, India ನೋಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ India is called as a state. First ಏನಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಇಲ್ಲಿ? First we need to have a people. Nothing but we have more people, 1.4 billion people. Yes, we are the largest people or we are the ranked one. Yes, ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವೋ ಬಿಡ್ತೀವೋ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಮಕ್ಕಳಂತೂ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. Nothing but that is the success rate of India with respect to population. With respect to territory ನೋಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ we have, I can say, we have one of the largest territory in the world. One of the largest territory in the world. Yes, second one. Third one ಏನಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಇಲ್ಲಿ? ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಕರಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ it should have a government. Now can I say government ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ executive? Government is executive. Fourth one, it should have a sovereign authority. Now sir, sovereign ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಸರ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ sovereign ಏನಪ್ಪ? ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಅಥಾರಿಟಿ ಅಂತ. ಸಾವರಿನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಅಥಾರಿಟಿ. ಸಾವರಿನ್ ಇಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ. ನಾನು ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾನೇ ಸುಪ್ರೀಮು ಅಂತ. ಹೋಪ್ ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್? ವಿ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್. India is not under the jurisdiction of some other country. India is being ruled by the people of India. India is being ruled by the people of India, and avag matra we call it as a sovereign authority. Now, can India be called as a state? Indian state anta? ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಇದೆ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಟೆರಿಟರಿ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಇದೆ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನು. ವೆರಸ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಇದೆ. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಪ್ರೈಮ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. It is prime minister form of government or parliamentary form of government ಇದೆ. Whereas sovereign ಇದೆಯಾ? ಇದೆ. Yes, we are a sovereign, nothing but we are taking independent decisions, independent foreign decisions, independent foreign decisions. Okay now? Yes. Now, ಈಗ ಹೇಳಿ, ಈಗ government ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? It is, can I say it is a part of a state? ಹೌದು, ಬಾಯ್ ಬಿಡ್ಬೇಕು ನನಗಿಲ್ಲಿ. Yes, it's a part of a state. It's a part of a state. Or can I say one of the pillar of the state? Yes or no? It is one of the pillar of the state. Pillars ಯಾವ್ದು state ಅಲ್ಲಿ? The three pillars which include judiciary, legislature, executive. Can I say it is a part of a state? It's a part of a state. Pillar of the state anta. Pillar of the state, we call it as government anta. Illi confusion irbaardu illi. Yes, it's a part of a state. Now what do you mean by state government? What do you mean by state government? It is a government which is functioning at which level? That is a state level. The government which is functioning at a state level. Functioning at a state level anta. State level. Example ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. It can be Karnataka government, it can be Karnataka government, Telangana government, Bihar government, UP, etc. 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 Yes. Okay alva? Then we call it as the state government as well as the government as well as the state government. Next one, what is the difference between constitutionalism, ಕೇಳಿದಿರಾ? It is a constitutionalism followed by constitutional morality. Exam ಅಲ್ಲಿ 100% question ಈ ಮೂರರಿಂದ. Either they'll ask a question on what is the difference in state, what is the difference between a state government followed by government anta, followed by the government. Now constitution ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಲ್ವಾ? Now according to B.R. Ambedkar, what is constitution? It is the law of the land, the fundamental law of the land, the supreme law of the land. It is also called as what? Indian constitution is also called as what? It is living document, ಬದುಕಿರೋ document ಅಂತ. ಏನಕ್ಕಪ್ಪ ಬದುಕಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ? Because we are altering on continuous basis. That is nothing but amending power. We have amending power, nothing but we are adding based on the time. Based on a time we are amending various features. ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ, ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ವಿಮೆನ್ಸ್ ಗೆ ರಿಸರ್ವೇಶನ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ we have brought in amendments. Yes or no? That is nothing but our, I can say, constitution is not a static document, rather it is a dynamic document. Rather it is what? A dynamic document. Yes, clear. Now constitutionalism ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಪ್ಪಾ? Now ಈಗ ನನ್ನ ಕಥೆ ಹೇಳಿ. ಈಗ now is judiciary, legislature, executive. ಇನ್ ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೇ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ನಾವೀಗ. Now is judiciary, legislation, executive, do they have I can say the complete authority? ಏನ್ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅವರು? Or do they have, I can say, the checks and balance mechanism? It is nothing but whatever the power which has been given to these three pillars, it is not absolute. Yes or no? It is not absolute, rather it comes with what? It comes with restrictions, and that restrictions we call it as what? Constitutionalism andre. Highly important one. A constitutionalism, it is what? The powers is not absolute. The powers is not. Nodi vella tumba minute difference. It is not absolute, rather it comes with what? It comes with specific limitations. specific limitations. ಏನಕ್ಕಪ್ಪ specific limitations? ಏನಕ್ಕೆ? Because it will become more arbitrary, it will become more arrogant. Checks and balance ಇಲ್ಲ ಏನಾಗತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ? It will become arbitrary, it will become more arrogant. It is nothing but it will start to misuse. It will start to misuse. And so that we have brought in a concept called as, I can say, adequate checks and balance mechanism. Adequate, the checks and the balance mechanism, nothing but the limited powers which has been given to all the three pillars. Can I give an example of fundamental rights? Fundamental rights kodboda? Don't you think fundamental rights which is putting restrictions on executive also, judiciary also, legislature also? ಮೂರು ಜನ ಕೂಡ no one can take away my fundamental rights. Nothing but examples ನೋಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ examples includes are which part? It is part 3 of our Indian constitution talks about fundamental rights. This fundamental rights which puts limitations on executive. Now my rights can't be curbed by PM also. My rights can't be curbed by the laws also, because no laws will be applicable with respect to part 3, and no laws will be, or even the judicial verdicts can never subsume my fundamental rights. Nothing but my fundamental rights which has been mentioned in the constitution, it is putting restrictions on all the three pillars. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ okay ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಇನ್ಕಿದ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? Yes, as simple as that. I'll explain again. Constitutionalism is nothing but no, I can say, pillar is being given utmost priority. Rather, we have been given limited powers. Limited powers via our constitution, and this concept we call it as constitutionalism. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಸರ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ to reduce our arrogancy, to reduce our arbitrariness, to reduce our, I can say, the excessive powers, to reduce our excessive powers in the single authority. ಈಗ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪವರ್ಸ್ ನನಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಯು ಥಿಂಕ್ ಐ ಮೇ ಬಿಕಮ್ ಕರಪ್ಟ್? ಬಟ್ ನನ್ನ ಮೇಲೆ ಐ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಎಕ್ಸರ್ಸೈಸ್ ಮೈ ಚೆಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್, ಅಂಡ್ that checks and balance mechanism has been imposed by my different, I can say, the different process of my academy. ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ಪವರ್ ನನಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪವರ್ಸು, ಫೀಸ್ ಕಟ್ಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ಆರಲ್ಸ್ ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿ ಏನಾಗತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ? ಒಂದು ದುಡ್ಡೆಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ಜಾಬ್ ಹಾಕೋತೀನಿ. Second thing is, I won't concentrate much on teaching. ನಂಗೇನು ಬೇಕು? ದುಡ್ಡು ಹಾಕಿ ನನ್ನ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಫೋನ್ ಪೇ ನಂಬರ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ. Yes or no? And to reduce all this arbitrariness, we have a checks and balance mechanism. Nothing but management is different, teaching staff is different, followed by evaluation team is different, material is different. Nothing but the powers has been divided among the different people. Nothing but ಇಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಕರಪ್ಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗಬೇಕು? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸೇರ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. Yes or no? Then only we can become corrupt. Yes, done. But in reality, all the three pillars will never become unit, or will never become what? Will never become one. Whereas legislature and the executive one ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ, whereas judiciary will never become one. Yes, done. See, ಇವಾಗ ಹಂಗೆ ಆಗ್ತಿರೋದಲ್ವಾ? Executive and legislature is one because they have numbers. Now ಇಲ್ಲಿ numbers ಇದ್ದಾಗ can I exercise a checks on this executive? No, they'll become more arrogant now because they have numbers. ಯಾರು ಬಿಜೆಪಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಗೇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾತಾಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್ ಆರ್ ಬಿಜೆಪಿ ಎಂಪೀಸ್. ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರೆ 10 ಶೆಡ್ಯೂಲ್ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಆಗ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ. 10 schedule anti defection law, hope you are remember. Yes, it is. 10th schedule talks about anti defection law. No member of parliament can talk against anything against own government or party members. Nothing but ತಪ್ಪ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಅಮ್ಮಿಕೊಂಡಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. Yes, see, as simple as that. Anti defection talks about this. Anti defection talks about this disciplinarity with respect to the, I can say, party members in the government or in the member of parliament. Yes, last one, constitutional morality. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ constitutional morality. Now this constitutionalism, a concept has been provided by Louis Yukin anta. It is highly important one. Exam ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, especially KPSC favorites ಇವೆಲ್ಲ. It is Louis Yukin. The concept of constitutional morality, as well as constitutionalism. Constitutionalism highly a favorite for examiners. Constitutionalism concept has been given by the Louis Heuken. The Louis Heuken ಅಂತ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. Now ನಮ್ಗೆ already constitutional morality ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. Now this constitutional morality concept has been given by George. It is George Agorte. Highly important one. The concept of, I can say, constitutional morality has been given by Yarappa, has been provided by George Agorte. Now what is constitutional morality? We have discussed yesterday. Values, the principles which are mentioned or which are provided in constitution. Now is constitutional morality word mentioned in constitution? No. It is the constitutional morality. The word CM, it is not mentioned in the constitution. CM is the chief minister Allah, not even common man Allah. It is constitutional morality is not been mentioned in the constitution. Rather, the values, the principles which are mentioned in constitution, we call it as constitutional morality. The concept has been given by George Agorte. Examples ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ? Even examples include justice, equality, fraternity, brotherhood. All this comes under, I can say, constitutional morality. Now constitutionalism word mention ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ? Again no. But which talks about arbitrariness, which talks about excessive power in the single authority. ಇವೆರಡರಿಂದ 101% there must be one question fix. With respect to state, with respect to government, with respect to state government. Okay ಅಲ್ವಾ? Yes. ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಏನೋ ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಯಾ? Because I'll be discussing next topic. ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಏನೋ ಡೌಟ್ಸ್? ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಆಫ್ಲೈನ್? ನೋ ಡೌಟ್ಸ್? ಓಕೆ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಹೋಗ್ಲಿ? ಓಕೆ, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಎಲಿಸಿ. ಓಕೆ, ನಿಹಾರಿಕಾ, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. ಓಕೆ, ಜರ್ಮನಿ ನಾನೇ ಹೋಗ್ಲಿ? ಓಕೆ, ಫ್ರೀಯಾಗಿ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ. ಸರ್, ನಾನು ಫ್ರೀಯಾಗಿ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ. ಅದು ರೇವಣ್ಣ ಮುಖ ನೋಡೋಕ್ಕಂತೂ ನಂಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನೋ ಡೌಟ್. ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್, ಗಿವ್ ಅ ಹೆಡಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ದ ಪವರ್ಸ್. ದ ಪವರ್ ಅಂತ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಪವರ್. ನೋಡೋಣ, ವಾಟ್ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಪವರ್ ಅಂತ. ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಪವರ್? ಆಲ್ ದಿಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಪವರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪುನೀತ್ ರಾಜ್ಕುಮಾರ್ ಮೂವಿ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ಹಾ. Now what do you mean by, what is the definition of power? What is, see, first one, what is the definition of power? See, ನೀವು ಇಷ್ಟು ಕಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತಾರೆ ಏನಕ್ಕೆ? To get power. Now what is power? It is as simple as that. Power ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ electric. See, power is as simple as that. Authority. Power is authority to influence the decisions or authority to take decisions. Yes or no? It is authority on the, I can say, particular individual or I can say organization. Individual or organization to take what? To take decisions. It is authority which has been given to the individuals ಅಥವಾ organizations ಮೇಲೆ. Individuality or I can say organizations ಮೇಲೆ we have provided authority, and based on that authority they can take up decisions. Yes or no? And we call it as power. Sir, ಇದಕ್ಕೂ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನೇ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿ? It can be examples of judiciary taking, I can say, the giving of verdicts. Legislatures, they have an authority to make laws. Executives, they have an authority to, I can say, to establish or to implement laws. Nothing but what? Nothing but, I can say, they have the authority, they have the power to do it. And if you become a civil servant, and you will also be having an authority to sign some documents, to publish some documents, to talk to media. Yes or no? All this will be your authority, will be your duty. will be your duty. Sir, ನನಗೆ ಇದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಸರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. But second one is important. What are types of powers which are present in the world? What are the types of powers? Types of the powers which are present in I can say world. ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ ಪಟ್ಪಟ್ಟಿಂದ ಈಗ? See, one of the thing here is democracy. Okay, first one we call it as autocracy. ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಆಟೋ ಅಂತ? ಆಟೋ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? It is single or self ಅಂತ. It is autocracy. Democracy ತರಾನೇ ಆಟೋ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನೋಡಿ, whenever we are going for sub classification, what should be our important things? We call it as definition examples. Now what do you mean by auto antandre? Single. Cracy is nothing but power is being exercised by the single individual. Can I say this autocracy as monarchy also? Baribodana illi autocracy, it is also called as monarchy. Mono, it is archy. It is autocracy antandre it is power, it is being exercised by a single individual. We call it as what? We call it as I can say it is autocracy. Example ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ? Examples includes I can say the North Korean president, it is Kim Jong-un. ಇನ್ಮೇಲೆ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. It is South Korea. It is Saudi Arabia, exactly. Yes, the Saudi Arabia. Okay alva, ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಿದೆ ಹೋಗ್ಲಿ. It is I can say I can say North Korea, Saudi Arabia. First one. Second type we call it as oligarchy. Oli ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಪ್ಪ? It is oli is nothing but group anta. Oli is nothing but group of people. That is a small group of individual will be capturing the power. The small group of people will be capturing the power. A small definition ಏನಪ್ಪ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ oli is nothing but holy ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ a small group anta. Small group will be capturing the power and they will be taking decisions. Example ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ? Examples includes junta government in Myanmar, junta government in African countries. It is Taliban ಬರಲ್ಲ, Taliban theology ಬರುತ್ತೆ. It is religious head. Okay, ನೋಡೋಣ. It is examples includes I can say military government or junta government in Myanmar. Now don't you think this people will be a small group of people will be capturing the power? How the ilvo? And they have been captured the power not by elections, via forcefully they have captured the power and they are ruling the country. Examples, that is junta government or military government in Myanmar. Example ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಮಿಲಿಟರಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ಪಾಕಿಸ್ತಾನ್ ಕೂಡ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಬರ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ. ನೋಟ್ ರೈಟ್. Yes, because they have a constitution. Elections ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ. Yes, does constitution and election, does it mean democracy? Does elections mean democracy? Yes. Does constitution means democracy? No. Yes, even North Korea ಕೂಡ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಇದೆ. Does it mean democracy? No. Even North Korea kuda, and even in China also we have elections. Does it mean democracy? No. Alira onde party. Elections ide. Election hogbit alle gudbidu barbeku, notanu illa alli. Does it mean democracy? No. Even in Mexico also we have elections. Does it mean democracy? No. Only single party. Adge gudu barbeku. Yes, people ge power ide anta torsa kashta adu. In reality they don't have power. Yes, even during the times of Hitler also we had constitution. Does it mean a good governance? No. ಎಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ. ಇಷ್ಟು ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಓದಿದ್ರಲ್ವೇನಪ್ಪ? ಡಸ್ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಅ ಗುಡ್ ಗವರ್ನೆನ್ಸ್? ನೋ. ಡಸ್ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಅ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಗವರ್ನೆನ್ಸ್? ನೋ. Yes, this is about oligarchy. The third one we call it as a theology or thearchy anta. Theocracy. It is theology. It is also called as theocracy. Theo andre enappa? Theo andre no, it is theologist. It is the power has been controlled by ಯಾರು? The religious head. The power has been controlled by a religious head. ನೋಡಿ, ಪವರ್ ಅಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಬಂದ್ರು ರಿಲಿಜಿಯಸ್ ಹೆಡ್. It is power has been controlled by ಯಾರಿಲ್ಲಿ? It is religious head. A religious head ಯಾರಪ್ಪ? ಯಾವ ಒಂದು ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಅಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ರಿಲಿಜಿಯಸ್ ಹೆಡ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ? It is I can say religious head is normally Iran, normally Afghanistan. Yes or no? Normally Iran, Afghanistan. It is Iran capital ಯಾವುದು? It is Tehran. Recent ಆಗಿ there's a news, Iran's news fought by Afghanistan capital. It is Kabul. Recent ಆಗಿ Taliban has taken the control of the complete government. Yes, now it has been ruled by I can say it has been ruled by either Shias or Sunnis anta. Shias or Sunnis. Fourth one, it is the fourth one we call it as a socialism. The fourth one we call it as a socialism. Fourth one we call it as a socialism. What is socialism? Socialism andre enu? Socio or socialism andre enu concept. It is, I can say, the complete control it has been exercised by. Complete exercise, it is exercised by the government anta. Complete control it has been controlled by. All the different resources are being controlled by the government. We call it as socialism. Nothing but collective control and collective, I can say, the utilization of resources. Examples ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ. socialism ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? It is collective anta. Socialism is called as collectiveness. Examples includes Russia. Now sir, socialism gu communalism gu ಏನು sir difference? It is extreme form of, it is socialism we call as what? It is communalism. Yes, extreme form of socialism we call it as communalism. Nothing but sub part of socialism we call it as a communalism. Sub form of, I can say, socialism we call it as communism, which is normally followed in China. Now, which is the purest form of power? Which is the good form of power? Which is the good form of power anta kelidre namdu, and that we call it as democracy. Demo andre enilli? It is people. Demo is nothing but a people. Exactly. It is socialism good? Okay. Yes. Online you guys have received the link also. See, when you're interested, they can join the course. And course join ಆಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ like add that code. ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ add ಮಾಡಿದ full pay ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ? Okay, 3500. Yes, it is add the code, that is KS 2024 anta. You will get a discount also. ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ they've joined without adding this code? ನಾನೇನು ಮಾಡಲಿ? I can't refund also. ನಾನೇನು ಮಾಡಲಿ? at least I've done like maximum I can do this code. ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಇನ್ನೇನು ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಫುಲ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮುಗಿದ ಕತೆ. That will go into the academy account. We can't refund also. Okay. Yes, it is democracy. Now democracy ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ it is the people. The power is being exercised by whom? The power is being exercised by people. Cracy is nothing but, we have discussed already, it is authority or power anta. It is authority or the power. Okay alva. Now this is my main topic. We'll discuss this in detail. Idinu mugisikonu kalisidona modlu. Okay alva. Now first one, is it any doubt with respect to the power or authority? Power or authority? Now as simple as that, it's an authority exercised by individual organizations while taking decisions. While taking decisions, we call it as the power or authority. Now there are different types. One which includes autocracy, oligarchy, followed by, I can say, monarchy. We have discussed theocracy, followed by socialism, communalism, as well as democracy. While following this, we have done only two important things. We got the definition and examples. Sir, you will also get to know about the hierarchy, organization, the content in an, I can say, easy manner, followed by you can retain this for maximum period of time also. Yes. Now give a heading called as democracy. Give a heading called as democracy. Now first and the foremost one, what do you mean by democracy? First. What is democracy? Now what should be our blueprint for studying this democracy? Now the first and the foremost one here is definition. What is definition here? It is power is exercised by Yaro, exercised by the people. The power is exercised by whom? That is the people. The people, we call it as democracy. Okay, adine expand madidini ashte. Examples kodtira. Examples includes n number of countries. Adana ಎರಡೆರಡು country ಬೇಕಿಲ್ಲಿ. One is USA and India or Bharat. Now USA includes what? It is the oldest democracy. Idu. It is largest democracy. Idr joteg beko antandre barಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, it is France. It includes UK, France, United Kingdom, Switzerland, etc. Yes. Now the third one, highly important one, the types of democracy. Now what are the different types of democracy? What are the different types of democracy? It is direct democracy and indirect democracy. It is direct democracy and indirect democracy. Exactly, perfect, yes. It is direct democracy and indirect democracy. Direct democracy as well as indirect democracy. ಏನಪ್ಪ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ our blueprint is clear. ಏನಪ್ಪ blueprint ಇಲ್ಲಿ? Definition, examples. Now what do you mean by direct democracy? Direct democracy ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? It is power has been exercised directly by whom? Directly by the people. Yes or no? Directly by the people. Illi whereas it is the power, it has been exercised directly by the people. Directly by the people. Now which country follows direct democracy? India. Now what is the I can say democracy which is followed in India? Is it direct or indirect? It is indirect. It's not direct. It is Switzerland. Exactly, Jayant, exactly, yes. It is Switzerland. Okay alva? Switzerland exercise directly ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಮಿತ್ಸ್ ನೋಡಿ ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗತ್ತೆ? ಓಕೆ, ಜಯಂತ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಯಾರು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ? ಯಾರಿಗೆ? ಹೌದಾ? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ನಿನ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. Okay alva? People, it is the power, it has been exercised by. The power has been exercised by the people. The power has been exercised directly by the people. We call it as we call it as direct democracy. Now sir, direct democracy, can India exercise direct democracy? ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಹೋಗಿ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೂರ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ? Sir, no, new parliament building will also not sufficient because 1.4 billion. ಮತ್ತೆ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ವಿ ಗೆಟ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಕಾನ್ಸೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಕಾನ್ಸೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದಾ ಏನಕ್ಕಾದ್ರು? ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅದು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಒಬ್ಬರು ಬೇಡ ಅಂತಾರೆ, ಒಬ್ಬರು ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಅಗೇನ್ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್. ನಾವು ವಿಚ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಡೆಮೋಕ್ರಸಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಸ್ಮಾಲರ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್. ಸ್ಮಾಲರ್ ಆ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು 10,000 ಜನ 20,000 ಜನ ಆ ಥರ ಇದ್ರೆ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ ವಾಟ್? ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಡೆಮೋಕ್ರಸಿ. whereas ನಮ್ಮ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಹತ್ರ 1.4 billion ಇದ್ರೆ we can't go for it. Nothing but we need to go for indirect democracy. Indirect democracy ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? See, people has a power, but that people is providing authority to whom? The people representatives. The people representatives. This people representatives is taking what? Is taking decisions on behalf of whom? On behalf of the people. On behalf of the people. If people is not involved in decision making, rather we are electing our people representatives. It can be MPs, it can be MLAs, it can be panchayats, it can be municipalities. We are electing these members, and these members are going for taking decisions on behalf of people, on the interest of people. Are they doing it? No. Elect agorgu ashte adadmele they'll take decisions based on their own interest rather than people centric interest. Examples nodadadre examples includes India, examples includes USA, examples include France, Sri Lanka. All this comes under indirect democracy. Indirect democracy. Okay alva? Yes, this is about our I can say complete chapter 1 of our basics. Chapter 1 of our the basics with respect to constitution. Done. Okay alva? Idella gottidre then only you can get to know about the concepts of our Indian constitution. Yes, ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ? ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಆಫ್ಲೈನ್ I'll take some questions. ಬೇಬೇನೆ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಆಫ್ಲೈನ್ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ನೋಡಿ, ಏನೋ ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಟೇಕ್ ಸಮ್ 1 minute. Okay, who can join this course? ಯಾರು ಬೇಕೋ ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗಿ, ನನಗೇನಂತೆ. It's fine. Okay. At least see, like for veterans, at least one who have studied like at least once, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ at least revision ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. See, for freshers, one complete concept of the content will be from the basics. Yes, see that I can assure within 25 classes you will be getting the complete content of polity. ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಪಾಲಿಟಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾಟ್ ಇವನ್ ಅ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಡೌಟ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೈಂಡಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು. ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ದ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ಟು ಯು. ಯಾರು ಬೇಕೋ ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗಿ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮನೂ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬನ್ನಿ, ನನಗೇನಿಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ಹಾಂ, ಫೀಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಫೀಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ನನಗೇನಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾ, ದುಡ್ಡು ತೊಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ. ಹಾಂ ಓಕೆ. Military is controlled by whom? ಹೇಳಿ ನೀವೇ. Okay, online, the offline question here is, in presidential form of government, the military is controlled by whom? ಯಾರಪ್ಪ? It is 3 pillars. It is the judiciary, legislature, executive. ಈಗ ಯಾರಪ್ಪ? It's as simple as the government ಅಲ್ವಾ? As senators will make a laws ಅಷ್ಟೇ, how this navy should function, but implementation will be done by executives. In law making ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ law making has been done by it is them. Nothing but how government should work, how government should regulate, all these acts have been done by legislature, whereas implementation has been done by executives. You sir, executives now well done kelila antandre, what will the legislature do? They'll go for impeachment of president. Yes or no? Donald Trump period time ali they started, I can say, impeachment alva. Impeachment. Yes. How they will online? Exactly, executives. Exactly, it is executives. Yes. Okay now. Yes or no? Illivargu any doubt idya online? Any doubts? So my question, Neetu Shri, which form of government is best? Which form of government is best? See, it depends on situations alva. Which form of government is best antandre, it is democracy is best. ಆ ಡೆಮಾಕ್ರಸಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಾ ಇಂಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಾ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ it depends on the countries, but democracy is best. Democracy is best as of now. ಅದೇ ಈಗ ನಾವು, for example, if you are thinking about some 100 years back ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ it is monarchy was best, but as of now it is the people's, I can say, the power is best. Yes, I hope it is clear. Which form of government? Now ಹೇಳಪ್ಪ. ಹೌದು, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. ನಿಂಗೆ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತಾ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ರೀಸನ್ ಐ ಸೆಡ್. ಓಕೆ, ಓಕೆ, ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್ ಏನು ಅದೇ ಇರೋದಲ್ವಾ? ಮಾಡಂಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಪಾರ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟರಿ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. Question with respect to offline here is, can we replace parliamentary form of government with presidential form of government, because this BJP government has numbers to amend the constitution? Can we do it antandre madangilla, because this parliamentary form of government is a basic structure doctrine which has been pronounced in different judgment of Supreme Court. Mugit. But executives, can they become arrogant antandre? Obviously agidaralla. Nothing but the power lies with a single individual called as the Prime Minister. You can take an example of the demonetization. You can take an example of the different pronouncements which has been done by only by the single, I can say, the minister, nothing but Prime Minister, without consulting his own members. His own colleagues na consult ಮಾಡ್ದೆ. ಇದು demonetization ಅರುಣ್ ಜೇಟ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿಲ್ವಂತೆ. And he said like in the morning and said that ನಂಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಆರಾಮಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಮಲ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ, 8 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆದ್ಸೆ ಬಂದ್ ಕರೋಂಗ ಅಂತ. Okay, that is wrong. Okay alva? Yes, online I hope I have addressed majority of the questions. Okay, yes. See, ಒಂದು 2 ದಿನ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ obviously I'll be like increasing the speed also, but ಅದನ್ನ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ನಿಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲಾನು. already see, I don't want to say they are arrogant anta, but they are misusing the provisions. They are misusing the provisions also. Okay alva? Yes, this is all about the first chapter. And the second one, which includes our historical background, the chapter 2. ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಇವತ್ತು. Tomorrow will start fresh. That is chapter 2 of the Indian Constitution. We call it as what? Historical background. The background. Now, what do you mean by historical and what do you mean by a background? Background of what? What is the history of what? It is history behind. Historical antandre, it is as simple as that. Origin behind our Indian Constitution. Yes or no? Origin behind our Indian Constitution. So origin behind our Indian Constitution antandre, don't you think our Indian Constitution ಯಾವಾಗ ಫ್ರೇಮ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು? Our Indian Constitution started before to 19, or I can say during 1946, but came into effect ಯಾವಾಗ? 1949 ಅಲ್ಲಿ. We took approximately 3 years. Nothing but our constitution document was ready by 26th November 1949. Now origin anta nodadre, don't you think origin till or origin before to this 1949? 1949, this 1949 ginta munche, it was ruled by, India was ruled by yaru? India was ruled by the Britishers. India has been ruled by Britishers. Yes, majorly we will be discussing about the different acts, the different rules, different regulations which has been brought in by this British government, and how this influenced our Indian constitution. How this influenced our Indian constitution, majorly we will be discussing this part. Okay, alva? Yes. Now sir, in general brief agi heli antandre, now our, I can say, historical background, it has been divided into ಏನೇನಪ್ಪ? Historical background, it has been divided into two things. Sir, can we get the recording classes if we all miss any class? In BK recording? Okay, recording sigate, not an issue. Neetu Shri, thank you. Daily fight. Okay. Yes, you will be getting recordings also. That is not an issue. But others to come online. Okay, offline oru ashte. Starting class full irutte. ಅದನ್ನ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಒಂದಿನ ನಾನು ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದಿನ ನೀನು ಬರಲ್ಲ, ನೀವೇ. ಓಕೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸಿ ಅಟೆಂಡಿಂಗ್, ಡೆಡಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಇರಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ? ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ದಿನ ಇದೆ? 50 days ಇದೆ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್. Yes, historical background, it has been divided into two things. It has been divided into two things. One we call it as what? One we call it as the company rule. Second one we call it as what? Second one we call it as the crown rule. Now, while discussing about these two things, what is company rule and what is crown rule? What is company rule and what is a crown rule? Yes. Okay, alva. What is company rule and what is a crown rule? First, ಬೇಬೆ ನನಗೆ 2 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಷ್ಟೇ. ಕಂಪನಿ ರೂಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಕ್ರೌನ್ ರೂಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ಆಸ್ ವೆಲ್ ಆಸ್ ಕ್ರೌನ್ ರೂಲ್. ಬ್ಲೂ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕು ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ನಾವು ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಸರ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ರೂಲ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ರೂಲ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬೀನ್ ಬ್ರಾಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಇಯರ್. The first rule which has been brought in the year. No, nodi, despite the EIA or East India Company has been established in 1600 established madidru kuda, they established the first rules and regulations in the form of Regulating Act of 1773. 1773, sir, in ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದ ಇಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷ 170 ವರ್ಷ ಏನು ಲಾಸ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ವಾ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ they were only trading. Our Mughal laws were applying with respect to EIA or East India Company. But for the first time after Battle of Plassey, after Battle of Buxar, naale ella explain martini, but just I'm hinting now. Battle of Plassey, Battle of Buxar, we brought in our 1773 inda till elli vargo. It is 1857 varegu. 1857 varegu. Because why 1857? Because we had a first Sipahi mutiny, first war of, I can say, independence, or it is also called as Sipahi mutiny agatte 1857 alli. Now 1857 ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ Indians demanded that ನೀವು ನಮಗೆ ಬೇಡ, nothing but we want our crown rule. Nothing but since 1858 ಇಂದ ಓಕೆ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಕೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು they came out with a policy called as 1858 in the, when we got our independence, it is still 1947 vargu. 1947 vargu we had our crown rule. Now what is the difference between company rule and crown rule? Now all the regulations of India are being done by whom? Are being done by company. Regulations are being taken up by yaar illi? Regulations are being taken up by East India Company. It is taken up by East India Company. East India Company as a private agency ಆಗಿ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು. As a private agency, whereas Crown Rule ಅಲ್ಲಿ, Crown Rule, it has been controlled by ಯಾರಪ್ಪ ಅಂದ್ರೆ government, controlled by government, headed by Queen ಅಷ್ಟೇ, headed by a Queen. Nothing but British Parliament used to control this. British Parliament used to control this. Now, which one was best? It is both are bad. Okay. ಅದೇ ನೋಡಿ ಜನಕ್ಕಿದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರು ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಇದೇ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ದೇ ಇನ್ಕಲ್ಕೇಟೆಡ್. ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಬೆಟರ್ ದೆನ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ನೀವಾದ್ರೂ ರೂಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ. ಈವನ್ ದೇ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಟ್, ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದೇ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ಚೇಂಜ್ ಇನ್ ಅಡ್ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ವೇರ್ ಸೇಮ್. Yes, done. On this note, we'll wind up this class and we'll continue tomorrow. Yes, okay alva? Yes, any doubts? Online, offline, is there any doubts? Online, give a like if you like the class before leaving. Thank you, no doubts. Yes, thank you. See you all tomorrow. The same times 6 to 8. Okay, alva? Thank you online. Nandini, thank you. LC, Sanya, Samir, Preeti, no doubts. Thank you. Shilakshmi, thank you. Pradeep, thank you. Yes. See you all tomorrow. Bhagishri, thank you. Pradeep, Meghana, Neetu Shri, thank you. Yes, thank you. Yes, it is from tomorrow, it is only paid students. Yes, thank you. Niharika, Preeti, thank you. SM, thank you. Okay, see you all tomorrow.